Hello and welcome to the creepy video game Easter eggs Iceberg. Stick around to the end because there's a lot of really messed up entries, and if you enjoy, please subscribe. Doom John Romero's head. John Romero is the co-founder of id Software that made the Doom games. In Doom 2, if you no-clip through this icon of sin, it's called, you can see John Romero's severed floating head, and if you shoot it, he even yells. This hasn't appeared in any future Doom games, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Super Mario 3D Land 4-4 Ghost. In Super Mario 3D Land, at the end of the level 4-4, you can stumble across this ghost. It appears only once, and to see it again, you'd have to restart the level, and people think that's the end of it. But in reality, this ghost will follow you around every single ghost level in the game, and this is the upscaled version of the sprite. We don't know what it's a ghost of, but a couple of theories have been that it's the Sky Trees, which is a later entry, or another theory is that it's a reference to the iconic Screaming painting. So we still don't know what it's exactly a ghost of, but yeah, a very creepy looking Easter egg for a kid's game. Super Mario Galaxy 2 Hell Valley Sky Trees. These figures appear in the Shiverburn Galaxy. If you enter first person mode and look up towards the cliffs, you'll see them. No one knew what these were called until the game was data mined and the name of them in the files were Hell Valley Sky Trees. Even with their name, people didn't know for sure what these things were. And up until recently, I just thought they were some generic ghost guys. But this YouTuber, Geek Remix, had a really good theory as to what they were. She thought it could just be something in Japanese that we didn't get over here. So after looking in Google Maps, she saw Jigokudani, or in English, Hell Valley. So this whole level does seem to be based around Hell Valley, as in real life it's a hot spring that even snows in the winter, and in game it's a lava and ice mixed level. Okay, so we've got the location, but what exactly are these sky trees? The most popular theory is that they may be Kodama, which are tree spirits. If you've ever seen Princess Mononoke, you'd for sure recognize these guys, and out of all of the theories as to what these sky trees may be, this one makes the most sense. Sonic CD sound test. In the main menu of Sonic CD, if you press down, 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 left, right, A, you'll get put onto this sound test screen, and if you enter these numbers on the screen here, you'll come across this. This is for sure the creepiest version of Sonic I've seen in any of the games, but the whole Easter egg isn't as creepy as you may think. A lot of people think that the background text translates to something relating to the devil, but it really just translates to Infinite Fun, Sega Enterprises Mazen Picture. Mazen refers to Masato Nishimura, which is an artist who worked on the game, and also provided the voice lines for Sonic saying, "I'm out of here and yes." But yeah, the music is for sure extremely creepy, and I don't think I'll ever be able to get this cursed image of Sonic out of my head. Hall of Tortured Souls. In Excel, yeah, that Excel, for Office 95, there was an Easter egg that through following a long set of steps, you could enter this hall with the names of the developers and even some pictures of them. Sure, the name is creepy, but in this hall, it's really just the names of the developers. Nothing too creepy here. Detroit Become Human File Corruption Prank. In the menu of Detroit Become Human, the game that tackles a lot of sort of real-life worries about AI, the main AI on the screen, the girl Chloe, will occasionally say this as a bit of a prank.
Oops, I think your saved game is corrupted. Just kidding.
Pokemon X and Y, I'm going to go for help. In Pokemon X and Y, on the back of this time board in Lumio City, it'll say, "I'm going to go for help. Wait in the usual place." And a boy off to the side will say, "It should be someplace around here, right?" Nothing was ever found for some secret room or meeting or anything, but my theory is that, well, I said Pokemon X and Y. All Pokemon games prior to this game had a sequel. You had Emerald, Platinum, you had Black and White 2, and this one was originally going to have a Pokemon Z, but that was ultimately thrown away. So I have a feeling that this whole Easter egg would have been solved in that, and we just won't get an answer to it now. now. But who knows? We are sort of getting a Pokemon Z in 2025, so finally this and some future entries about X and Y will be solved. Outlaws alien spacecraft. In the 1997 game Outlaws, you could blow up this restroom and go through this Mountain Dew colored sewage. After going through this sewage, you'd come across a cave, and in this cave a massive spacecraft. And I know in the 90s it was harder to put good sound quality into games, but this sound is much creepier than anything I've heard in other 90s games. Minecraft removed Herobrine. So you've probably heard of Herobrine, but if you haven't, he's a sort of urban legend in the Minecraft community, dating back all the way to 2010, where he appeared on a Brocraft's live stream, and in many different iconic images. It was proven to be a hoax, but he was so popular that if you played Minecraft or knew anyone who played Minecraft, you'd probably heard of him. This character was supposedly Notch's dead brother, and he would mess up your world in all different sorts of ways, like getting rid of all the leaves on trees, digging random tunnels, and, well, stalking you. The history of this character is pretty complex, but the whole Easter egg here is that, as a sort of joke, Mojang decided to throw in removed Herobrine in pretty much all of the major updates changelogs. GTA 4, the heart of Liberty City. So in real life, you've probably heard of, this is the heart of X location, and most of the times it's New York. So to poke fun at people saying that all the time, Rockstar put a literal heart of Liberty City, which is the in-game version of New York, in the in-game version of the Statue of Liberty. To see this, you have to enter through this door that says no hidden content this way. Pokemon X and Y Ghost Girl. So after exiting this elevator, you'll be greeted by a ghost girl walking around you and just saying, "No, you're not the one," and walking away never to be seen again. People think that this dialogue will change if you have a very specific player ID for your Pokemon character, but from what we know, nothing has seemed to change. A lot of people think that it's related to the previously mentioned X and Y Easter egg, but nothing proven so far. Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Moving Teddy. In the Call of Duty games, you can get these different loot boxes for different weapons in the Zombies mode, and when one isn't currently available, it'll have a teddy bear on it, and most people will just see it and leave annoyed, but if you wait long enough, it'll actually move. Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door crime scene. In the Japanese version of Paper Mario the Thousand-Year Door, there's a house in Rogueport with a chalk outline shaped like a toad with blood around it. This crime scene was never explained, and all signs of violence like this were removed in the Western releases. I'm very curious to see if this Easter egg returns in the remake of the game, but yeah, I'm not sure if it will. I don't think it will. GTA San Andreas Mass Grave. Just northwest of Area 69, you can come across this mass grave, a hole that's 6 to 12 feet deep and filled with bodies. Since the vehicle is still left there, it's implied that whoever dumped the bodies got caught in the act and had to run, or simply left it behind. No one knows for sure who's responsible for this, but the leading suspect is Mr. Trenchcoat, a man that's been found around a lot of the places where big murders have happened. Far Cry 5 Pennywise Balloon. In Far Cry 5, there's occasionally red balloons around sewers, being a clear reference to the horror movie and book It. And in the haunted house in the game, you can come across a note reading, "You have the fear of God. You need the fear of the devil. You need to fear it. You take a young person and take their body and mind. You use their empty corpses to find more young people whose bodies you can steal. No, 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 no. You will wish your mind was scooped out of your body because when it is through with your bodies, you won't want them anymore." With the whole note being titled Clown Thoughts. And right next to it is a red balloon, and this phone with someone laughing like a clown on the other end. Tier 2. Silent Hill Secret UFO Ending. In Silent Hill 1, if you use this channeling stone at the top of the lighthouse, which this stone is found in a convenience store, you can trigger the UFO ending. where upon asking these aliens about Harry's daughter, you'll end up getting killed by them. Mortal Kombat 9 Crypt Monster. In Mortal Kombat games, there's usually something called the Crypt, where you can unlock new items from coins obtained in the game and really just go through the game with a lot of replay value. But in Mortal Kombat 9, if you sit in it for too long doing nothing, this will occur. BioShock Infinite Reversed Audio. In BioShock Infinite, this lady will appear and say something you won't be able to understand. But if you play it in reverse, it sounds like this.
Give me my Romeo. Lovers shall die. Take him and cut him out. Hold back. Come, gentle knight. Come, loving black rose.
Goat Simulator Cemetery. In Goat Simulator, yeah, weird game to have creepy Easter eggs, you can enter this cemetery, and as you go in, all the music will turn off and you'll see this massive creature. When you hit it, you'll see it's just called a goat, but it really doesn't look like one. You'll also find a man crying standing by this tree. Now, Goat Simulator has a good number of creepy Easter eggs, but at least to me, this is by far the creepiest. Fable 2 Winter Lodge. When approaching this winter lodge in Fable 2, everything seems nice and cheerful and cozy, very Christmas-like. But as soon as you step inside, everything turns more dark. The whole atmosphere changes, and when you exit, it will stay that way. Battlefield 5 Gnomes. Some of the best Easter eggs in the Battlefield series involve really complex methods of discovering them, and knowing way too much about war history and Morse code. But some of the best ones are simple like this. On Arras, if you shoot this garden gnome, you'll notice something weird. As you run away to go somewhere else, you'll see a gnome getting closer and closer to you, before disappearing and reappearing from red smoke. This gnome will have red glowing eyes, and no matter what angle you're looking at him, he'll be staring right back at you. It won't kill you or anything, but it will follow you around until you die. Minecraft Disc 14 Spectrogram. I don't know why it says disc, it's actually Cave Sound 14, but if you've played Minecraft, you've probably heard these weird sounds that don't really fit, because half the time you hear them they're above ground. But these are called cave sounds, and they're meant to just creep you out. But in Cave Sound 14, if you go to the spectrogram of it, which is just a visualization of audio, you'll see this shape you probably recognize. So yeah, if it wasn't a creepy enough sound already, you'll also see the creeper in the spectrogram. Original Xbox dashboard sounds. On the dashboard of the original Xbox, if you sit there and do nothing for a while, this'll play. So for a sort of two-parter here, Assassin's Creed 2 and 4, Giant Squid. In Assassin's Creed 2, after pushing this massive lever, you can look down into this foggy water and see a massive giant squid. They also did the same thing in Assassin's Creed 4, but in a more interactive and, I guess, realistic way. On release, Assassin's Creed 4 was debated to whether or not it was actually an Assassin's Creed game, with how much you just get to be a standard pirate, but being a pirate let you do a lot of unique things, especially in the water. You would eventually unlock this diving bell that would let you explore underwater shipwrecks, and aside from all the normal creepy things like sharks trying to kill you and whatnot, there was a small chance you would come across this. Black Ops 2 Sniper Jump Scare. In Black Ops 2 Zombies, if you aim at this firework here in the distance, you'll get a little surprise.
Right there. You see the fires blowing up? Aim at it. Look how clear they look.
Right there?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck, dude?
Skyrim Sovereign Guard statues. Skyrim is no stranger to lots and lots and lots of secrets and Easter eggs. But one of the ones that goes unnoticed a lot of the time is with the statues in Sovereign Guard. It's extremely hard to tell with how slow the statues move, but no matter where you are, they'll always be facing towards you, even if it does take an extremely long time for them to turn. Payday 2 Witch. So Payday 2 is one of those classic Steam titles that if you have Steam and have ever looked at a Steam sale, you'd probably be pretty surprised at its price. I mean, the most expensive on sale is like $2, and basically every other Valve game does the same thing, so there's a lot of fan overlap. The devs of Payday 2 noticed this and decided to put a witch from Left 4 Dead into their game, but you have to sort of go out of your way to see it, and you'll get a little jump scare. Manhunt 2 Strip Club Jump Scare. In Manhunt 2, if you look outside of this completely safe for work establishment and look at the dancers, while looking at one for too long, it'll cut to them dead for a second and go back to normal. Not an overly complex Easter egg like a lot of Rockstar's, but I'd for sure get really scared seeing this for the first time. Wizard 101 Face in the Void. Wizard 101 is known for being a kid's game, and you wouldn't really expect any Easter eggs, or if there were any, they for sure wouldn't be creepy. But if you go into this void area and look down into the darkness, you'll see a face staring right back at you. And I don't know about you, but the advertising for this game was insane. Like, every single kid station would play ads constantly about it. And I never personally got to play the game, but if my parents did let me and I saw this, I'd be terrified as a little kid. Batman Arkham Knight Man-Bat Jump Scare. While going from mission to mission in Arkham Knight, not a whole lot happens. You'll hear different thugs on the ground talking about things, but aside from that, there's no scares or anything. Except for this one encounter with the Man-Bat. For sure the most scary thing in the game, just out of pure surprise and not expecting it. Tier 3. Animal Crossing New Horizons 3 AM Alien Message. So Animal Crossing isn't known for being too creepy, but at 3:33 AM, if you have your TV on in New Horizons, you'll see this. And in Animal Crossing New Leaf for the 3DS, the same thing happened. So whenever the new Animal Crossing comes out, I'm sure this will be in that game as well. We haven't seen these aliens in game yet, but maybe in the next game we will. GTA Vice City Cement Shoes. You may have heard of someone giving cement shoes to someone in a fictional way of killing them, often associated with the Mafia, and Rockstar Games, being Rockstar Games, decided to put this into Vice City, where you do play as a Mafia member. In these two locations underwater, you can find these people given cement shoes. It's pretty much confirmed that the Mafia did this from this dialogue exchange here, but the creepiest part is that you can sort of see the man before he got these cement shoes. As in these older games, a lot of the same models were shared, you can see the same model walking around fine. GTA 5 Mineshaft Body. In GTA 5, there's a mineshaft that for a while players couldn't get into, but in the next-gen version of the game, released on Xbox One and PS4, you could open the door with an explosive, and once inside, you'd be met with a series of long tunnels and track everywhere. Aside from it being really dark and creepy already, there's actually a dead body found in here. Found at the split of a track, you can see this pretty decayed corpse wearing a 1940s suit, along with a film reel right next to him. Sometimes, if you try activating your flashlight near the body, it'll randomly stop working, and you'll hear footsteps around the tunnels, even when you're not moving. Hitman 2 Moving Mannequin. Hitman is a game series built around killing different targets in many different ways, and a main reason a lot of people play these games is to replay the levels, as sometimes going through the same level tens to hundreds of times you'll discover new things. So, as you'd imagine, there's a lot of Easter eggs and weird things you may not notice. One of the most interesting being on the Miami map for Hitman 2, this mannequin will actually start to move. This has become a big trend for Easter eggs in games, especially after Doctor Who had one of their most iconic episodes, Blink, come out. This episode was about these creatures called the Weeping Angels that could only move if you weren't looking, even if you blinked. They're certainly more complex than that with a lot of lore, but the general gist is that you look away and they'll move. So this type of mannequin Easter egg got into a lot of different games. Witcher 3 Weeping Angels. Like I mentioned, very iconic. In The Witcher 3, if you take a quest to defeat some monsters in the cemetery, you'll see these 2 stone angels outside of it, and nothing strange happens until you go to loot inside and try and leave. When exiting the building, you'll see that the statues have moved, and will continue to move closer and closer to you every time you look away and look back. After a few times, if you look back, they're gone and will never be seen again. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Mannequin Zombies. In Black Ops 3's version of Nuketown, if you shoot off the heads of all the different mannequins, they'll start chasing you down and acting a lot like zombies. Dead by Daylight Sanctum of Wrath statues. In Dead by Daylight on the map Sanctum of Wrath, as you go around the middle of the map, you'll see these small statues. If you look away and look back, you'll notice that they're staring at you. So yeah, no matter where you are, they will be facing at you, and they'll only update their positions as you look away and look back. Every single match on this map, even if I'm in chase, I'll do this just for fun because, this is a really cool Easter egg, especially since Dead by Daylight doesn't have a whole lot of Easter eggs like this. Yume Nikki Uboa event. In the game Yume Nikki, if you enter this room and flick the light switch over and over, this will happen. Game Boy camera pop-ups. In the Game Boy camera, there is actually an Easter egg you can trigger by selecting Run over and over again. Once activated, it'll have different images of creepy looking people pop up asking, "Who are you running from?" If I was a kid and got my Game Boy camera and saw this, I'd be terrified. Gmod Big City Jump Scare. Unlike a lot of other games on this Iceberg, Gary's Mod is known for having creepy things in it. Whether it's a simple doll in flat grass, a pitch black room in Construct, or all of those meme uploads of things. But yeah, it's pretty popular that this game can be scary. But at the time GM Big City came out, this wasn't the case. Sure, there were some creepy things, but it wasn't nearly as much of a stereotype as it is now. So yeah, different Easter eggs that are scary were a lot scarier back then. This one being if you head over to Cafe Baltic and try to open this door, this will happen. GTA 5 Jolene's Ghost. At the top of Mount Gordo, between 11 p.m. and midnight, you'll be able to see this ghost. As told in the in-game article from the Sonora Beach newspaper, this ghost had been proven to be the ghost of Jolene Cranley Evans, the deceased wife of Jock Cranley. Jock Cranley was a famous stunt double appearing in a variety of popular TV shows in the 1980s. During the 1970s, he got aspirations to become a stuntman in Los Santos, but his wife, Jolene Cranley Evans, objected to them moving out to Los Santos, so while on a hike on Mount Gordo, Jock Cranley pushed her off the side of a cliff, and she died from severe internal injuries as a result of her fall. Jock was taken into custody, but immediately released without charge because there wasn't enough evidence to prove it. Halo 2 Mausoleum Suite audio. If you reverse the background music for the Mausoleum Suite in Halo 2, you'll hear something actually understandable, which for the Covenant, the bad aliens in the game, is very surprising.
Squander eons in the darkness, while they seize our triumphs further. The mantle of responsibility for all things belongs to forerunners of
Just Cause 2 Smoke Monster. If you've watched any of the show Lost, you probably know that it's about, well, people being stranded on an island from a plane crash, and that there's some weird creepy things, like this massive smoke monster. And with how popular this show was when Just Cause 2 was being developed, they put in an Easter egg that's a direct reference to the show and a pretty big part of the game. If you fly to this island at the top left of the map, your plane will crash no matter what, and it'll start storming. Aside from a lot of references to Lost, like all of these here, the main one is a smoke monster. When you approach it, you'll see that it's an invincible soldier NPC that just produces smoke. It won't actually kill you, but yeah, not knowing that it's just an NPC, it is for sure very creepy. Kanye Quest Ascension. Kanye Quest is an RPG game made that takes place during the year 3030. The game was made seemingly as a joke, since the gameplay was heavily inspired off of Pokemon, with obtaining different rappers and their abilities being based off of inside jokes around their real-life counterparts. Upon completing the game, it's revealed that the entire game was a dream to Kanye after he fell onto pavement and passed out. If the player typed in the word ascend into one of the dialogue boxes with an NPC, the player would be taken to a secret section of the game. In this secret section, the game would claim that the rest of the game's content was a front for the area, and that the area was designed to help teach you something beneficial. The section is full of terminals, and the player must enter a very specific code into each one in order to complete the area. While in this area, you'll eventually enter a room with a QR code, with the QR code linking to a website that just had the name Phoenix Gregory placed on the middle of the screen in Comic Sans font. After inputting all of the needed codes, the player would be teleported to a final terminal that would congratulate them on their ascension and prompt them for another code. Upon completing this code and agreeing to participate further, the player would then be asked for their private information. It was later found out by the YouTube channel Grouse House that the entire game was made for a high school project by the musician Adelaide. So yeah, even if you put in your personal information, nothing would have happened. It doesn't connect to anything. This was all just a joke of a game. Half-Life 2 Zombie Moans Reversed. In the Half-Life series, you'll come across a lot of different zombies that were once people, but then taken over by headcrabs. And if their yelling and sound effects weren't creepy enough, if you reverse the audio of their moans, you can actually understand them. Modern Warfare 3 Ghost Voices. Spoiler warning for the campaign of Modern Warfare 3.
Look over here! Look at me, Daddy! This shit is really hyper today. Sarah, don't go too far. Birds! Look, Mommy, there's birds! That's your daughter. You know she gets that from you.
So yeah, that happens in the campaign of Modern Warfare 3, and that exact scene actually sparked a lot of controversy at the time, since, well, most people as adults wouldn't survive that explosion, but especially not the little kid that was there. But anyways, in the multiplayer of the game, if you go prone at these 3 different gravestone locations, you'll hear almost ghost-like whispers of that event occurring again. Battlefield 4 Ghost Voices. In Battlefield 4 on the map Nancha Strike, if you go up to this door and just wait here, you'll hear this. Resident Evil 4 Del Lago Monster. In Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 4, you'll read different documents on a monster in the lake, and if you shoot at the lake, you'll get to see this monster. Ghost Recon Wildlands, The Boy That Turns Into a Lake. The story goes that people from the eastern village of San Ignacio de Moxos say that a long time ago, local women could only use a small swamp to wash clothes and men had to go fishing miles away. One day, a young boy went to help his mother and he walked into the water. He mysteriously disappeared. His mother ran into the village to seek help. When villagers reached the swamp, the boy was nowhere to be seen. Nowadays, the swamp turned into a beautiful lake full of fish and clean water. So when viewing this location here from a drone or from a distance, you can actually see this boy. But if you go too close, he runs away. After following him, you'll see that he's completely disappeared. So this little boy is most likely a ghost. Doki Doki Literature Club, Did I Scare You? Doki Doki is a game known for being creepy and having some fourth wall breaks, but this one is really creepy. If you're recording with a program like OBS while playing Act 3 of the game, Monika will get nervous for being on camera and do this. Zombie Army 4 dolls. A lot of games try and have creepy dolls, but don't succeed all the time. But in this game, it for some reason is very creepy. They did it very well. And Zombie Army 4 in concept is relatively scary, but most of the gameplay has more of an arcade feel. So when you come across this, it makes it all the more scary. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl Old Chateau. So a lot of Easter eggs in general are normally just in their game. Remakes weren't extremely popular until recently. But this is a Pokemon game, so it of course got a remake. So we'll get to see two different views of this Easter egg. If you enter and leave this room in the Old Chateau multiple times, this girl will appear in the room next to you and leave. But if you try and follow her, she's disappeared. In the remake of Diamond and Pearl, there's also this painting that makes the room even creepier, where this painting will have glowing red eyes and laugh as soon as you're not looking at it, and when you look back, it's back to normal. Night of the Consumer's Hidden Room. Night of the Consumers is a already pretty scary horror game, but this Easter egg is a different type of horror. If you break open this wall in the staff-only room, you'll see writing all over the wall saying that you can't trust the manager, along with a skeleton. So the manager is already creepy, but he's done worse things a long time ago. Animal Crossing Gyroid Face. In the original Animal Crossing game, you can take a train over to another player's online town, and if you reset the GameCube while you're there, you'll lose all of your items in your inventory, and your face will be replaced by a gyroid statue's face. Even if it's just Nintendo trying to prevent future save issues, this is for sure one of the creepiest ways to go about it. Tier 4. Hitman Contracts Ghost in the Mirror. Hitman Contracts is one of the older games in the Hitman series, hence it looking a lot different. And in this one building, if you look into different mirrors around it, you'll see ghosts like this one. And seeing a ghost is creepy, but this one isn't as bad as he's just waving you to go away and not actually trying to kill you. Black and White 2 Whispers. In the game Black and White 2 on PC, no, not Pokemon, the game will play one of these audio files if your name matches up with one of the file names. John, Peter, Simon. Psychonauts Mila's Secret Room. So in Psychonauts, if you go to Mila's room, after ignoring her warnings of it being a party killer, you'll be able to see her memories and, well, nightmares. So far, this is by far the saddest Easter egg in the Iceberg, and, well, I'll just play it for you.
Now you definitely don't want to go in there. That's a party killer right there. Darling, what are you doing down here? The party is upstairs. Lucky for you, I have my nightmares under control. These things can take you to a world of playing crashes. Now quick, let's get back to the party, okay?
Darling, if you're looking for the makeup room, you've come to the wrong place.
Doom OST spectrograms. In the soundtrack of 2016's Doom, if you look at the spectrograms for the songs Cyber Demon and 666, you'll see a pentagram. The Crew Bigfoot. The Crew and Crew 2 are known for having absolutely massive maps. The large portion of the map for 2 is the same as 1, so you can find this Easter egg in both games. If you go to this spot on the map, you'll find Bigfoot, and well, when you get close, he'll immediately run away. For sure, a creepy Easter egg to stumble across, and I'd imagine pretty rare with how just massive these maps are. Animal Crossing New Horizons Graveyard Wallpaper. In Animal Crossing, you can get many different floors, wallpapers, and just a lot of nice decorations. And they're usually, nice, and if they are spooky, it's kid spooky. It's nothing really that scary. But if you get the graveyard wallpaper and turn off the lights in the room, you'll see this ghost. And if you turn the lights back on, it'll disappear. But if you turn the lights back off again, the ghost is gone. So every time you do this, the ghost changes location on the wallpaper, sometimes being very hard to find. Animal Crossing New Horizons Haunted Paintings. Similar to the last entry, in Animal Crossing you can find these spooky paintings. And this Easter egg is extremely subtle, but is creepy. Around 6:34 p.m., the paintings will appear to change in some aspect, whether it be closing their eyes or completely changing the position of their head. Call of Duty Finest Hour Ghost Room. In Call of Duty Finest Hour, if you explode these 2 secret walls, you'll enter a big ghost room. This room has floating candles, a giant rat, toys moving all over the ground and flying in the air, a ghost, some creepy paintings. This room is just filled to the brim with different Easter eggs and creepy things. The playable character will even acknowledge this in dialogue, which most games don't do. So even though it is kind of fourth wall breaking, it sort of fits with how absurdly over the top this big creepy room is. Omori Mirror Jump Scare. In Omori, if you continuously interact with the same mirror over and over again, you'll get jump scared like this. And I couldn't play this game just because of the creepy house section, but god, this is creepy. The Crew World Ending. As far as the Crew Easter eggs go, not many are too dark like this. If you go here in the Texas part of the map and turn off the road a little bit, you'll find an abandoned car. Near it, a dead body lying in a bush, and a floating newspaper with the headline World Ending. A lot of people believe this was a unaliving of yourself, with this man reading the newspaper and immediately believing it. Cry of Fear 911 call. In the horror game Cry of Fear, your most important tool is the cell phone. Being able to use it as a flashlight is the main thing, but also as a standard phone if you want to. And if you try and call 911 for help, this will happen. Death Stranding Shower Ghost. In Death Stranding, between doing deliveries, you spend most of your time in this small room with a bed and shower. But there's a very small chance that when you wake up, you'll see something in your shower, a dark figure, and when you approach it, this happens. This jump scare is a reference to the cancelled Silent Hill game just titled PT, made by Kojima, the maker of this as well. BioShock Infinite Hidden Music. The ambience of BioShock Infinite is definitely made to sound creepy, but the original recording of it is entirely different. It's confirmed that this audio you're hearing right now is actually just a music session they had recorded in the developer's office and slowed down by almost 1,000%. Tier 5. Slender Man The Arrival Secret Level. In Slender Man The Arrival, if you follow this list of steps here, you can get access to the secret level, level, where in this glitchy level you'll have to first find Slender Man, and then once you find him, he'll say that he wants to find you instead, and you'll be chased through this house while trying to find the pages. I've never found Slender Man to be very scary, but in this level I'd say the fear is for sure there, with the house being so cramped compared to the massive forest that all the other Slender Man games take place in. The Stanley Parable Airport Man. So this man has nothing to do with an airport. He's in fact just called a man in the files, or I don't know if they just couldn't have a space. It may literally just be a man. But yeah, if you've never played the Stanley Parable, there's almost no people in the game aside from a few endings. And even if you have played the game before or watched someone play, you've probably never seen this man, as he's very difficult to actually see. To see him, you have to pass the "is this a bucket" test with all of the correct answers and then turn around, or bring a bucket with you while going up this elevator. It's especially creepy knowing that this guy was probably watching you throughout other parts of the game and you just haven't noticed. Red Dead Redemption Strange Man. If you've played Red Dead Redemption 1, you may recognize this man. We don't know his name, so everyone just calls him the Strange Man. In Red Dead 1, which takes place after 2, he'll approach you asking you if you know who he is, and the main character, John Marston, doesn't. You end up seeing him multiple times throughout Red Dead 1, but this entry is about 2. In 2, if you go to the shack in Bayal Edge, Lemoyne, it'll have different animal heads on the walls reflecting your honor in the game, the good or bad system, and at the center of the room lies a painting with a black silhouette. On the walls of the cabin lie other references to quest names and things said by this stranger man in Red Dead 1, but it starts to get creepier when you come back a few days later and the silhouette becomes more defined, with an easier to see top hat specifically. More days pass, the painting develops facial features, and on the last visit, after even more days, you'll see the painting complete, and if you look in the mirror, you'll see something there, or should I say someone. The strange man is there right behind you, and when you turn around, he's actually not there. When you look back in the mirror, he's gone. The last appearance of him in this game is if you go to the town of Armadillo. Once in this town, in this shop, you'll see a portrait of the strange man. When you ask the shopkeeper about it, he'll say that he doesn't know who it is and he just liked the portrait. So, to this day, we don't know who this strange man really is, but maybe when Red Dead Redemption 3 comes out, we'll finally know. Dear Esther Ghost. Dear Esther is an extremely atmospheric and emotional game. For me, not many games can create a feeling like this one does. Along with the emotional story that is pretty creepy, there's a lot of different ghost sightings around the island. They're very hard to spot, but I really like this type of Easter egg. It's a more, I guess, realistic take on ghosts. I say realistic, but you know what I mean. A lot of different ghost sightings, or if you've ever think you've seen anything, it's usually a blur or something, so seeing these in a game kind of makes you take a second look and think, I don't know what that was. So these ones are already creepy seeing around the island, but the creepiest I would say is the one in the lighthouse. If you don't know, I live in Florida and have been to St. Augustine a few times in my life, and that place is known for having a haunted lighthouse. And I don't believe in ghosts very much, but being there in person is a very creepy atmosphere, and seeing this video when I was like 10 years old creeped me out so bad. Portal 1 and 2 Ratman Dens. Spoilers for Portal 1 and 2. In the 2 Portal games, you'll learn that the experiments that you're in aren't exactly as they seem, and the first hints to this are in Portal 1 with the Ratman Dens. You'll see places like this with warnings about different chambers and markings that would imply whoever was here before us had gone sort of insane, or were actually onto something. In Portal 2, we see whoever made these markings and drawings were really struggling and trying their best to escape. It was confirmed through official comics that the man who did all of this was Doug Ratman. This man is the reason that Shell is alive. The reason that anything good happened to Shell is because of this guy. Without him, Shell wouldn't have been able to defeat GLaDOS and, well, survive this long. This character is arguably the most important in the Portal franchise, or can I even call it a franchise? It's 2 games. This character is extremely important. Warren, and without this character, Shell for sure wouldn't have been able to make it. If Valve ever decides to actually make a Portal 3, I really think we could see him in the game. Yume Nikki Monaco event. In Yume Nikki, if you use the stoplight effect and enter this cave, when you run into this girl, you'll get a PNG of her appear on your screen and rotate and bounce everywhere, and then it'll go back to normal. A lot of people think that this has a deeper meaning. The leading theory is that this character was actually run over, hence using this stoplight effect will trigger her in some way. Splatoon giggling statues. In Splatoon 1, on the Museum de Alfonso,
Alfonsino.
around the 3.5 minute mark, this statue will laugh. This one is really off-putting, a lot more than other Easter eggs since this is a very popular kids game, and well, I played a lot of Splatoon 1 personally and never heard this, despite remembering playing on this map quite a lot. Escape from the Coulsonian jump scare. After the second Scooby-Doo movie came out, the game Escape from the Coulsonian was released. It was a basic point-and-click adventure game, but this one had a very creepy Easter egg. If you get the crowbar on the second level of the game and try and pry open the sarcophagus, text will appear on the screen saying, "Please, haven't much time, someone coming, need help before," and this'll happen. Yume Nikki face. In Yume Nikki, if you go through this zipper-like door, you'll be teleported to a place with a set of stairs and something watching you on it. As you pass this creature, shockingly nothing happens, but if you enter this door at the end, this animation of a face will play and you'll be teleported to a bedroom. At this point, I swear this game is just an Easter egg generator. A Hat in Time monster noises. In the game A Hat in Time, if you wait in the main lobby for 25 minutes, you'll hear the sound of a monster. Still, no one knows what this monster exactly is. Red Dead Redemption 2 Whispering in the Forest. Right here in the forest of Annesburg, you'll be able to hear whispering between two ghosts. Red Dead 2, you can also see a show called The Ghastly Serenade, which tells the sad story of this young couple. And the story it describes is exactly what happened to these two whispering voices.
Who's playing? Today, The Ghostly Serenade. Still got some seats? You're here for the show, right?
Greetings and salutations, gentlefolk. This here's the story about a young couple from the village of Annesburg that was courting a few years after the Revolutionary War. Courting in the woods, as you know young people want to do. Stealing away all sneaky-like. Girl by the name of Ethel Beauchard snuck out of the parlor one evening just as soon as her mother went out to hang clothes on the line from the washing. She met up on the road by her farm with a boy by the name of Eugene Hutton. Now, the Hutton boy was an athletic chap, like boxing, fishing, and swinging Indian clubs. It's quite singular to the story that he didn't seem all that inclined to go to war in the preceding years leading up. Well, they walked in the woods for a while. Pretty soon they lost their bearings and no longer knew the north from the south, nor east from west neither. Then they heard a low, moaning sound.
What's that terrible noise?
She said, all a tremble. Must be a sick calf looking for its mama. They've been known to bawl like that. Let me take a look, said Eugene. Well, old Eugene went and disappeared around a tree, came out the other side, and gave her a terrible fright. Boom! She let out a shriek, then went to chastising.
You should be ashamed of yourself, Eugene Hutton,
she said.
Instead of giving a girl protection, you go carry on acting foolish and fresh like the Queen's prize jester.
But right then and there, a chilly wind blew through and knocked off Eugene's hat.
I need to get back home. My mama has a terrible temper. She's like to stomp up and down if she finds out we're missing.
She is a fair, stout woman, Eugene noted. But just then, before this couple of miscreants could head home, they heard the sound of heavy wheels, groaning, and people marching. The cacophony grew closer and closer, and through the fog they could make out the shapes of ghost horses pulling spectral cannons, and dead soldiers marching as if their graves could no longer contain them, each wearing a vile red coat. "You will pay for your moral transgressions," the dead soldier howled, and cut his head clean off. Miss Beauchard shrieked in horror as Eugene's head landed right in her hands, his eyes still darting about, attempting to discern what horror had transpired. Little Miss Ethel Beauchard ran as fast as she could, stumbling and getting caught on trees as she tore through the forests. Terrified for her life, the dead soldiers marching after, hungry for blood. When she returned home, she told the people of the village that an army of the dead had taken Eugene within the confines of the fog. British soldiers who died protecting tyranny were rising from their graves as if to continue the fight for the demonic English. The townspeople erupted in fright and dismay until one daughter came forth and accused her of witchcraft. "She raised the dead to murder that boy for his pursuit of unwanted advances," he said. "So she too must perish." And that very night, they put her to the stake and burned her dead. Now let that be a lesson to you young ones not to go courting in the woods, in case the English lurk there still.
The way that exact lines from this show are said in the forest really makes this Easter egg come together very well. We don't have to speculate a whole lot, which is very nice. D-Day Moloch. In the game D-Day, released on the 60th anniversary of the Normandy landings, you'll reenact a lot of iconic battles in World War II, so you'd think there wouldn't be any crazy Easter eggs, and that this game would be very strict with what you could actually do. But it's the opposite. If you go to this church and zoom in on it, you'll hear cries of babies, and if for whatever reason you decide to blow it up, you'll be left with these 5 runes on the ground, and if you activate these runes in the order to form a pentagram, the demon Moloch will appear. This beast is associated with child sacrifice, and he will help you in battle until the next morning. This beast will kill everything in sight extremely quickly, basically just giving you a free win if you want to do this heinous act. Celeste Mirror Temple Audio Reversed. In Celeste, the music that plays while in the Mirror Temple, if you reverse it, will actually show the thoughts of the main character.
Sometimes I don't really know what's going on anymore. I don't know who I am. I just look in the mirror and don't know who I'm looking at or who's looking at me. I think a lot about where my train of thought is going. It's not always to good places, and that scares me. I don't like scaring myself at all.
Red Dead Redemption 2 Vampire Encounter. In Red Dead 2, you'll come across 5 different clues around Saint Denis, hinting at a killer. After getting all the clues, you'll see on the map that it forms a pentagram. If you go to the center of this pentagram, between exactly 12 a.m. and 1 a.m., you'll have this interaction.
So, you found me.
Hey, what are you doing?
Stay back for your own sake. I walk with the undead. What, you're a vampire? I have been called many names over the centuries. Now go, or I'll feed on you too. You're a goddamn idiot. I'll suck you dry. Fuck up!
This vampire, once killed, will drop some flesh that's believed to be human, 2 bat wings, and a unique dagger. The design of this vampire is directly inspired from the 1922 German silent horror film
Nosferatu!
GTA 5 The Infinity Killer. Off the coast of Paleto Bay is an archipelago with many different dead bodies underneath the water. These dead bodies are presumably the 8 joggers that were killed by the Infinity Killer in 1999. The whole story around the Infinity Killer is that he left clues hinting at where the bodies would be buried, but that's the thing. These bodies aren't buried, so some people think this could be a copycat killer, or Rockstar just forgot. Red Dead Redemption 2 Ghost of Agnes Dow. You can find this ghost around Blackwater Marsh, the ghost of Agnes Dow. According to the cries of her spectral form, Agnes fell in love with a man that her parents did not approve of, and would meet him by an old tree in Bluewater Marsh. After he impregnated Agnes with a baby boy, he abandoned her for another woman, exposing her relationship to her family, much to their disgrace, and leaving her unwanted by other male suitors. Although Agnes eventually was able to dissuade her lover from following his other relationship, she was unable to convince her mother and father that he was worthy of her. This ultimately ended in the father drawing his weapon and killing the boy. It's implied that following this event, Agnes had a mental breakdown and murdered her father in revenge, possibly the rest of her family as well, before finally hanging herself from the tree that she used to meet her lover at, hoping he would find her there in death. Resident Evil 7 demo, Mia. I don't know why it specifies demo, as this happens in the full game as well, but in one of these starting sequences, as you're recording these 2 guys investigate the Baker residence, you'll see different versions of Mia, a character you'll meet later on, appearing as a ghost girl and disappearing around the house. For Resident Evil, this really sticks out because, while there are zombies and weird monsters and stuff, but there's nothing like ghosts in the franchise. No More Heroes, Jean's backstory. Content warning, this one mentions some not so nice things. Just a warning. In the game No More Heroes, the backstory of the character Jean, sort of as a joke but actually, to not drive up the age rating of the game, gets sped up by the main character, as there's a lot of fourth wall breaks in the game. And if you slow it down, you can actually hear it. And, well, here it is.
Who cares?
Well, what if the game gets delayed? You don't want this to become No More Heroes forever, do you?
All right. I'll fast forward this so you can tell me.
Okay. I'll make it short and quick. You are my half-brother. You know that manga called Miyuki? The Japanese one? Well, it's like that. Your father abandoned my mother to run off with your mother. It broke her heart beyond repair. She killed herself. Knowing I had nowhere to go, he took advantage of me. Ever since I can remember, he molested me. We lived in this rotten apartment, and I was his slave. Every day I cursed his soul. I swore that I would kill him one day. But cursing didn't change anything. That's when I decided to become a killer. With no money to pay for training, I paid with my body. But to you, I bet that son of a bitch looked like a hard-working family man. That was all an act. He didn't give 2 shits about cleaning up my life. So I decided to clean it up myself. That's why I do what I do. And I got what I wanted. Killing him in front of your very eyes. That's my story.
Being sped up, unable to understand it, it seems funny with this guy's reactions, but yeah, when you actually hear it, it's pretty rough. Red Dead Redemption 2 Sunny. Another very intense one here. This isn't the only character that does it in Red Dead Redemption 2, but Sunny is a character in Red Dead 2 that will invite you into his house, and once inside, he'll knock you unconscious, and it's implied that not gonna say that out loud for YouTube purposes, but yeah, some other characters do this as well, and this is very creepy and dark. Tier 7. PT Lisa Following You. In the game PT, that's now no longer available by the way, this lady Lisa will follow you around and scare you throughout the game. And like most horror games, if she doesn't kill you, she'll disappear. But fans have always had that feeling that something's behind you the entire time. And well, when modding the game, it turns out she actually was behind you the entire time. Stardew Valley Rare Alien Event. In Stardew Valley, there is an extremely low chance that in the night, while you sleep, you'll hear this weird sound and this capsule will spawn on your farm. After a few days, whatever was inside will escape, and a lot of people think that it's whatever this creature is, but we still don't know for sure. Harvest Moon 444. In Harvest Moon More Friends for Mineral Town, for the Game Boy Advanced, if the time is 4:44 exactly, and you check the TV right after, this will happen. Four is apparently considered an unlucky number in Japan, since with different kanji it also means death. So this is either a very creepy Easter egg or just a glitch with the number 4. But I don't know why a glitch would only happen when it's 4:44. I'm no game programmer, but to me this really seems like an Easter egg. Red Dead Redemption 2 Missing Athletics Team. In a newspaper, you'll see an article talking about a missing athletics team in Blackwater. There were some rumors that they were kidnapped, and well, you can find them here, where you'll find them murdered in a pit. You end up finding out that the killer was this man Edmund Lowry Jr., and when you try and turn him in, he'll start attacking the sheriff, and at that point you have no choice but to kill him. Nun Massacre Scream Origin. This one I'm putting a very big warning up because it relates to real life things, and this one is very messed up. In the survival horror game Nun Massacre, there's a jump scare that plays with a very distressing sounding scream, and it sounds so real because it is real. It was taken from a 911 call from a woman named Ruth. Ruth said that someone was breaking in, or at least was very close outside of her house, and I'll play them both together. Again, content warning, it's very disturbing.
I have no idea.
Red Dead Redemption 2 Clawson's Rest. Another content warning here, this one and the next are just very bad. If you go to this house here, Clawson's Rest, you'll see 2 dead children, and a note from their mother telling them that she would be leaving to find the people who stole money from them, and told them not to open the door at any cost because the people may be outside waiting. In this house, you can see that all of the cans of food are completely empty, and that they even made a small butcher's table, likely to kill and eat any small animals in the house like rats. So these children unfortunately starved to death, but what about their mother? Up the road, we can find these men at Ches Porter talking about how their father killed and buried a woman that is in fact the children's mother. And in the game's files, we can see that there was an option to save these kids, but it got scrapped, and this depressing outcome is the only outcome of this situation there is. This is without a doubt the most depressing Easter egg in Red Dead 2. Bully Crying Baby. And for this last entry, again, another content warning, very, very intense entry here. But if you go to this part of the map in the game Bully, between 8 AM and 6 PM, you'll hear this. And from 6 PM onward, you'll hear this. If you go into the game's files, the first sound is just called baby crying, so that's not an issue at all. But the other files of the woman screaming are called Domestic Fight 0, 1, 2, and 3. Thankfully, this isn't real sounds. This isn't like that really messed up nun horror game. These are fake, but still, they are way too realistic. I think if Rockstar went over the line on any of their dark, more creepy Easter eggs, this one for sure went across that line. Yeah, those last few were a bit much, and may have lessened your mood a bit, to say the least, so I'm gonna have some dumb memes for this outro here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it was super long and late, but you can tell by the length probably why it was late, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for 500 subscribers, it really means the world to me, and if you did enjoy, please subscribe. I'm gonna keep doing videos like these, maybe longer ones like these as well. And you know, every sub means a lot, every comment I'll reply to. And yeah, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.